the ceiling, making friends with the shadows on the wall. All night, hearing voices telling me that I should get some sleep because tomorrow might be good for something. Hold on, I'm feeling like I'm headed for a breakdown, and I don't know why, but I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell, but stay a while and maybe then you'll see a different side of me. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little impaired. I know right now you don't care, but soon enough you're gonna think of me and how I used to be. Me.
I'm talking to myself in public, dodging the glances on the train. And I know they've all been talking about me. I can hear them whisper, and it makes me think there must be something wrong with me. Out of all the hours thinking, somehow I've lost my mind.
But I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell, but stay a while and maybe then you'll see a different side of me. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little impaired. I know right now you don't care, but soon enough you're gonna think of me and how I used to be. How I used to be. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell, but stay a while and maybe then you'll see a different side of me. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little impaired. I know right now you don't care, but soon enough you're gonna think of me and how I used to be.
Good evening and welcome back to Anniston Bar Church's Make a Mental Note. My name is Kyle Bryan. I'm an associate pastor at Anniston First United Methodist Church, and I'm here with Amber Cotton of Keller Williams Realty.
Hello.
A friend of mine that I'm very thankful for.
Same.
She helped shepherd Leanne and I through selling our own home, purchasing a new home, and I'm just incredibly thankful for her and also her witness. Her Christian witness, and also the way that she has progressed in an understanding of mental health, which she's shared with Leanne and shared a little bit with me, and has agreed to share a little bit with us today.
Yep.
And so I just want to ask you, can you share just a little bit about your own journey in mental health and awareness and whatnot?
For sure. So how far back do you want to go?
Oh, that's up to you.
So, well, I never really dealt with it much until I got married at a young age, had two beautiful babies, and I have a daughter that is 17 and have a son that is 11, Bailey Grace and Jax. And their father and I got divorced about 6 years ago, something like that. She wasn't working out. He had his demons, as we all do. And anyway, 2 years today, he committed suicide. And then, my world just kind of stopped, I would say. Didn't really know, basically just tried to figure it out on my own, just navigate it through I'm a super independent person. Growing up, we didn't talk about a lot of stuff, as far as like feelings and all the things. And so that's basically where I figured out that mental health really, really mattered. Not just because of his decision to commit suicide. Obviously, he had a bunch of mental health issues going on. that basically since that day, it'd probably been about 6 months, I decided that I needed to go see someone, because what I was doing wasn't working, you know. And so I went to a therapist. I don't know if I need to mention her or whatever, but I love her. And her name's Stephanie Huey. I would recommend her to anyone. My children see her. I see her. You know, I had to get on an antidepressant. And at first I was super embarrassed to do that because I don't need that. You know, I feel like, you know, like God can take care of that. Like, why am I not? I'm opening my Bible. I feel like, you know, that's where I go, you know. However, you know, God opens those doors to those people, you know, and I feel like after going to the therapist, after taking the medication, my stance with mental health is completely different now. Of course, you know, I dealt with a bunch of, you know, drug issues, you know, not for myself, but from people that I grew up around. My dad was a drug addict. I grew up with a bunch of self-medicating, as far as not for me, but the people around me, right? A lot of alcoholism, things like that. And so I started taking some antidepressants, just one, going to my therapist once a week, and just basically vomiting, like all the things. And then God just kind of opened up another door to where, I found there's a lot of people around me that were really struggling with mental health, and I wasn't really aware of it because I never struggled with it, right? So, because of that, you know, now obviously I'm much more aware, and I feel like so many people are super embarrassed to say that they're struggling, especially me as a Christian. I was. Because I was like, we're not supposed to struggle, right? Like God's here for us, all the things. But I feel like one of my dearest friends told me one time, you know, you have to feel it because, you know, if you don't go through the things, how is God gonna use that through you? How are you going to be a witness to somebody? How are you going to help someone through that situation? And so I chose not to run from it and just to hit head on with it. That was super hard. You know what I mean? Because I just kind of hibernated for quite some time. I overworked myself. My career was, you know, basically my distraction until one day I was like, okay, I got to deal with this. And so that was today's been 2 years since he's been gone. I basically, probably about 10 months ago, decided, okay, I'm not going to be as active on social media. I'm not going to drink alcohol anymore. Like, I started thinking, what's affecting my mental health? I wasn't like exercising as much as I needed to. I wasn't doing like my devotion in the morning, yoga, all the things that help me. And I had not been going to church every Sunday. I was just like, you know, like, I got this. And so I started pinpointing, like, obviously also who was good in my life. If you're not bringing me joy, you know, I love you, but you got to go.
But you knew the things to do.
Yeah, I did, because I just started to be more self-aware, because I think that probably started obviously with going to my therapist. And I would come home and I would just be like, okay, what bothered me today? Like, what triggered an emotion to make me like irritable, anxious, just whatever, you know. And sometimes that can just be a song, right? Like on the radio, where you can smell something and, you know, like my ex-husband dipped. And so if I smell Copenhagen long cut, forget it. I'm done for the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm over it. But anyways, I just started feeling like, what didn't bring me joy today? And I'm actively, you know, on social media because of what I do for a living. But I just decided, like, I got to stop comparing my life to these people. And I think that we are so fake on Facebook most of the time, and we're not real, that it causes a lot of mental illness around us. And I feel like if most people would just post some real stuff, the mental health would be so much better for me and maybe for you too. But I weeded out my social media. I'm only on it certain times of the day. And about 2 weeks ago, I just took a break because political stuff and all the things.
No, it just wears you out.
All the things. We're not going to win an argument. And it's
Never.
not the argument. It's just that I think just people dividing was what makes me sad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so social media was out. I stopped drinking alcohol in July. Not because I had a problem, but because I thought if I don't just kind of, like maybe I do, I don't really know. I just come home, pour a glass of wine, and never turned into 5, but, you know, it was just a habit. So I quit that. I quit hanging out with people that weren't feeding me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, love them. You know, I still love them dearly, but if you're not feeding me, and it's more negative and gossipy and all the things, I'm out, you know.
So you developed some practices and some strategies and tactics to really help you.
Yeah.
You maintain your own mental health, and, you know, you were self-aware enough that you practice them.
Yes.
I'm very sympathetic to the no alcohol. Like last April, like I came to the realization, like that is not a helpful thing.
Right.
Like I already struggle with anxiety, depression.
Same.
You know,
Yep.
after Lucy died.
Yep.
Like that's just a path I'm not I'm not gonna continue to go down that path because it's not
Yeah.
gonna be helpful.
Right. Right.
But one of the things that you had posted on social media, like after, I think it was as we were preparing for 2021, or we had just entered into 2021, which many of us who had a really sucky 2020
Yep.
were really thankful.
Sure.
As if a calendar date is going to change anything. But,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
it's
whatever.
just, it's all mental.
Yeah. But you had posted about what are your goals for 2021. And I'm not a New Year's resolution maker. Like
Right. Me either.
I don't do it because I
do
never
goals,
keep it.
but yeah, right.
But as a professional, like we always have goals. And I think one of the things that's super helpful, especially for people who struggle with mental illness, is establishing goals.
Yeah.
When I was in the hospital on the psychiatric unit, like you did group every morning.
Right.
And what's your goal for today? And for some people, their goal for today was like to eat lunch with a fork.
Yeah, for sure. Get out of bed.
Other people's were different. So
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit more about the importance of goals in just your own life?
Sure. So, goals started for me probably 7 years ago. Wasn't someone that always made them. I was a New Year's resolution person, and that to me, that's just silly because again, I'm not keeping them. Like I know I'm not. Right. So, for the goal setting for me, it was more about, like basically from head to toe. Right, like mentally what I need to do. What am I putting in my mouth? Then what am I putting in my heart? How am I moving my feet? It was head to toe goals for me. And so I put them in place. I looked at him a little bit differently now, you know, since his name is Coley, since Coley passed away, my child's father. But I look at them differently now because what my goals were 6 years ago are not necessarily my goals now, right? So now it's just, okay, what can I do mentally, you know, to help myself? Sometimes it's just get out of bed. Just depends on the day. January's not been that great just because January reminds me of his death, and it's been super rainy.
Yes, it has.
So
It's
it's
not
like
been a good
if you are
month
like
for us,
mentally, you know, struggling a little bit, those days are tough to get up, you know, and Satan will tell you there's no reason for you to get up. There's nothing for you to do today. Stay in the bed, you know, and just like take a day.
So sometimes a good goal is just, I'm going to get out of the bed
Yes.
tomorrow.
And for me, it's just like I'm up. I'm going to get up, and I'm going to make sure that I freaking make my bed because then it tells me that I got up. You know what I mean? So that's silly, but for me, it's not because it shows, okay, you did it. Like it's okay because there's many times, you know, I'm the only parent that my children have. You know, who's paying for college? I am. Like who's like making sure like cars are bought, the food is on the table, there's a roof over their heads. It's me. So I tend to have tons of anxiety and get anxious about me taking care of them, right? And so
imagine.
For me to get up and just be devoted to, okay, you're getting up, you're going to work, and that's it. That's a big deal. So I get up and then of course I do my devotional. and I started a gratitude journal. Even it's just like I'm thankful, like just for like a good shower today.
So you do that in the mornings?
Like the gratitude for sure, the devotional for sure. Sometimes I'll throw a little yoga in there. It just depends. And then after that, basically, I try not to grab my phone as far as social media, right? Like it should never be the first thing you're looking at in the morning because it's going to change your mentality, I promise, for the day.
Oh, absolutely. It's really hard.
Because someone will post something that you're like, well, that's not me. But, like I don't follow anyone professionally, like in my business. I'm friends with them on Facebook, but side note, I don't follow them because I'm not letting anybody get in my mind, right? Like that I can't do this or I can't do that. And sometimes we let those things happen. So, that's for sure. I don't look at social media first thing in the morning. I will, of course, look at it, but it's not going to be when I wake up. Yeah. Anyway, and so then, I'm making sure, obviously, that I'm like eating healthy because it makes a difference. And so I'm making sure that I'm doing the protein, shakes or whatever I need to do. I make sure that I drink at least like 13 glasses of water a day. Like I'm pushing it. I'm trying my hardest to make sure that my goals are set mentally every day. That's my part-time job. Obviously professionally, I'm super up there as far as like goals and things like that. But I feel like if all the other things that I'm setting for myself, go hand in hand, then, professionally I'm going to be fine. Right. And so on the way to work, I'm going to throw on praise and worship, period. Graves into Gardens, that song, that's probably my go-to right now. Yeah. It's just my favorite because it just talks about how much Christ can turn. He turns highways or water into highways, oceans and highways. I can't remember what it says. But it's just crazy for me to listen to that and know how much God can transform you as far as restore you from a mental breakdown, right? And so I'm trying to think of what else. We get to the office, whatever, work happens. But in the afternoon, I go to Gym of the Hills. And it is like a high-intense workout that I do 3 times a week. If I don't do that, I'm done. Like, my body is just like, what are you doing?
Yep, that's how I am about running. If it's not happening, we're going off.
My anxiety is done. Like, you can forget it. I definitely feel differently if I'm not doing something about that. And, of course, like, as far as during the day, I mean, it changes, as far as like mentally what I need to do, but I'm going to do those things in the morning. I'm going to make sure that I'm listening to something good, because everything that goes in is going to come out. Don't care who you are. It is what it is. That's going to happen. And then, that afternoon we're going to get a workout in, and then at night, I'm a super early bird. I'm always reading. I would like to point out, especially to a lot of the women listening, be aware of self-help books and Christ-led books. Because I was reading a bunch of like self-help books and, like these women that are just super independent and all the things. But I just feel like it needs to be known that there's a difference between Christ-led and these self-help books. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not going to specifically say the books I've read because I don't want to be rude about it, but I think that that's self-help books are great, but if they're not something that's professing faith for me, I don't want it. Yeah. Because you can easily be led down a road that Christ is not needed. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yep.
So you've talked about like short-term goals, daily goals, things like that. Living with purpose is one of the things that I want to touch on, because I think when we look at Scripture, Jesus very clearly comes with purpose. Like one of my favorite passages of Scripture is Luke 4. Jesus comes into the temple. He unrolls the scroll of Isaiah. Yep. The Spirit of the Lord's upon me. Proclaim release to the captives, recovery of sight to the blind, all of that good stuff. Like, it's very obvious that Jesus is here to do something. Like, he has a purpose.
Right.
How do you live with purpose? And where does that purpose come from?
First of all, I couldn't have answered this 2 years ago. But for me,
it's a big question. So
it is a huge question. Because I feel like the older we get, the more simple we get. And a lot of times it's just probably through life experiences, you know, what you're thrown. But for me, as far as living with purpose, it's just being open to every single person that comes your way during the day for me, to be a witness to be a vessel, to not, you know, I'm trying to always be aware, okay, like today, you wanted me to come here and talk about all the things mental. Well, you didn't know today was the second anniversary of my children's dad's death. You know what I'm saying?
I did not.
So, like, when you asked me, I could have easily been like, it's not a good day, Kyle. Like, it's just a struggle day. It's a struggle day. But I just thought, no, like, this is God's purpose. This is like, I'm driven because I'm just like, look, whatever I can do to help someone, you know, mentally, as far as just like what my purpose is every single day. Now it's just kind of like simple. I just want to be a vessel. That's it. That's it. I don't, you know, and that's going to be through work. That's going to be through me, like picking up groceries at Publix. Don't care. Like whatever I can do to be a vessel. And I don't care if it's like hanging out with the homeless guy that I just gave $1 to, because I just need to know what's going on with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you here? I just look at things a lot differently than I did 2 years ago. And I think it's super easy for us to dismiss people that are not like us, that are not, you know, living like us, if that makes sense, as Christians, you know, because that's not what Jesus did.
Well, thank you. Like, I'm super thankful for your incredibly integrated faith, because so many people have a faith that happens on Sundays or like Wednesdays or whenever they do church or whatever that is.
Yeah.
But I think the Christian call is to integrate what we believe about God with the way we actually live.
Right, absolutely.
And that can be a really difficult thing for a lot of people. So I just want to thank you for being with us for being vulnerable.
Of course.
And sharing yourself with us.
It's my pleasure.
And I hope that those who are watching can learn some things about living with purpose and setting goals, and whether or not that's just like making a goal to get up and take a shower. That's a big deal for a lot of people, and we do not deny that.
No, not at all. So, not at all.
Thank you, Amber.
It's my pleasure.
At the start, before the beginning of time, with no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of light. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born, and the vapor of your breath the planets form. If the stars were made to worship, so will I can see your heart in everything you've made. Every burning star, a signal fire of grace. Your creation sings your praises, so will I. So will I. God of your promise, you don't speak in vain, no syllable empty or void. For once you have spoken, all nature and science follow the sound of your voice. And as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. If it all reveals your nature, so will I can see your heart in everything you say. so alive. If the stars were made to worship so alive, if the mountains bow in reverence so alive, if the oceans roar your greatness so alive, if for everything exists to lift you high, so alive, if the wind goes where you ascended so alive, if the rocks cry out in silence so alive, if the sum of all our praises still falls shy, then we'll sing again 100 billion times. God of salvation, you chased down my heart through all of my failure and pride. On a hill you created, the light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion failures disappear. Where you lost your life so I could find it here. If you left the grave behind you so alive, I can see your heart in everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called love. If you gladly chose surrender so alive, I can see your heart a billion different ways. Every precious one, a child you died to save. If you gave your life to love them so alive, like you would again 100 billion times, but when measure could amount to your desire, you're the one who never leaves the one behind.
I want to thank you for joining us for this episode of Anniston Bar Church's Make a Mental Note. We're able to sustain this community of faith through this pandemic because of your giving. And so I want to encourage you to take time and go to annistonfirst.info/give and make a contribution to Anniston First United Methodist Church so that we can continue to offer this series as well as many others until we are able to return safely together again.